Hi, a very warm welcome to one and all to the Resulticks BFSI Digital Stallions Forum Roundtable. I am your host for this particular event. For the uninitiated, let me introduce myself very quickly. I am Paurush Sonkar and I am the founder of two forums, BFSI Digital Stallions Forum and Digital Stallions Forum UAE. BFSI Digital Stallion Forum is India's leading premier network for chief marketing officers and heads of marketing and digital marketing professionals from the financial services space and caters to the Indian BFSI ecosystem. The other concern that we have is Digital Stallions Forum UAE, which is the UAE chapter of this forum, where we are looking at multiple sectors. Before I begin, I'm very glad that we have Resulticks as our trusted partner across both the forums, and we are running a very interesting awards event program with them, both for BFSI Digital Stallions Forum and for Digital Stallions Forum UAE. Resulticks is a leading omni-channel marketing automation provider, and over the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes, we have a very interesting panel with us with whom we'll be discussing a lot of topics in and around the omni-channel platform and pertinent topics. Let me kickstart the conversation by introducing you to the esteemed panelists. We are glad to have Ravi Santhanam, who's the Chief Marketing Officer at HDFC Bank. We have with us Cedric Dias, Head of Digital Marketing, OCBC Bank, joining us from Singapore. And we have with us Himanshu Bhagat, who's the Deputy Vice President at HDFC Ergo General Insurance. A very warm welcome to three of y'all, and thank you for taking time to join us.
Hi.
Thank you, Paurush. Hi.
Perfect. So, without any delay,
Hi.
let us deep dive into the topic of the day, inviting opening comments from all the panelists about their thoughts on marketing automation and the importance that it has in their businesses and overall for the financial services space. Ravi, we'd like to begin with you.
Okay. Today, marketing and automation, I think, are synonyms in my view. 20 years back, the ability to individually touch a customer was like the holy grail of marketing, because we always used to do it very, and today, technology and with every being there in the digital space, the ability to target an individual customer based on her likes, based preferences, based on the time that did with our communication is a reality, is possibility now. So for me, if you do not automate your marketing, you are not going to be in a way becoming more relevant to your customers. If you look at from relevance perspective, the ability to reach a customer needs, messaging platform that she needs is a possibility today. And that's what everybody needs to, particularly transaction-based industries, service-based industries, where data is available in plenty about our customers. It becomes extremely important for us to consider this.
Right. Cedric, your thoughts?
Yeah. So hi, I work for OCBC Bank in Singapore, and many of you will be knowing this. Singapore is a very small market of 5.5 million people. Here, it's all about upselling, cross-selling, and getting deeper wallet penetration into our customer base. Now, to do this at scale, like how Ravi just mentioned, knowing your customer, knowing what they do, and acting at scale is something which is essential. And so it's imperative for us to have marketing automation to not only leverage that well, but to leverage that in a way which really becomes best in class, because that's when you're able to really delve into right place, right person, right offer, which is the basis of how we approach our entire marketing within OCBC Bank. So to do that, we found that marketing automation allows us to do that, and hence it's become, like you said, synonymous with marketing, and it is at the core of everything we do as we move forward.
Absolutely lovely. Himanshu, requesting you to step in and give us your two lines.
Sure. So I believe to the consumers, it's very important for us to be relevant at every stage of their interaction with us. Along with scale that we need to do marketing at, we also need personalization to be relevant to those customers. And that's where marketing automation, or MarTech as we call it, comes into picture,
Right.
which helps us automate the scale to be relevant as well. So in the insurance industry to which I belong, there are multiple stages and multiple touch points at which we as an insurance company and our products interact with our customers. And MarTech is the only way to reach out to those customers in a relevant and a timely manner to increase our share of wallet or to even cross-sell and upsell, as Cedric was mentioning. So it's highly relevant and highly important to the industry. Yeah.
Sure. So that's interesting because now we got a perspective from banking and we got a perspective from the insurance industry. So Cedric, I'm going to pull you in on this one, right? In your capacity as head of digital marketing at OCBC, you're obviously looking at multiple facets. You're building the marketing tech infrastructure. You're driving digital sales efforts. You're building a kind of a center of excellence and using social media content to drive this engagement, right? Could you tell us a little bit about your experiences there and how you see MarTech kind of being the enabler across the board, especially at the center of excellence that you're building?
Yes. So in Singapore, OCBC is a challenger bank.
Right.
So because we're a challenger bank, it's very important for us to squeeze the juice out of the customers we have and to do more and better with them at any point in time. uh, Again, so whatever we do, whether it is, like you said, it's building the infrastructure, whether it is going after digital sales, whether it is a center of excellence, it's something that unifies all the efforts that we do. So just to give an example, one of my core aims today, given the depressed interest rate scenario, is how to cross sell into wealth and wealth products, or investment products or insurance products and the likes, right? So to do that, it's about understanding the customer, understanding different propensity models, understanding who's in market, who's not, and then leveraging that in real time to be able to make sure that we're able to then offer the right products and then fulfill that in the right journey or do the entire journey orchestration. MarTech plays a key role in that. Now, given where most banks are, at least in this part of the world, and I'm sure many in India also, we work with a lot of legacy systems. So because we work with legacy systems, it's almost a parallel journey of how we build infrastructure, how we parallelly go work towards building sales, and also parallelly create centers of excellence to be not only ready now, but also ready for the future. So in a way, these are all tied together. And if you see, it all starts with first, what are the objectives the bank is after? So in our case, we are very clear where that lies. Second is what are the enablers that need us to get there? And we found that the underlying piece of it is technology and understanding of our customers, which allows us seamlessly at one time understand the customer, at the same next piece, leverage the technology to then take action on that.
Sure. Cedric, fair. So Ravi, I'm going to pull you in here. Personalization, as we all know, is a very significant driver when it comes to campaign success. And we have seen HDFC, at a very mass scale, at a humongous scale, running a lot of personalization campaigns using the Resulticks portfolio that you all have tied up with, right? Would you want to elaborate a little bit on your experience on personalization using the Resulticks platform?
Personalization requires data at scale and the ability to use the data at scale. So there are
Right.
two aspects of personalization that we look at. And obviously the relevance portion, I'm not going to talk about it because it's extremely important to know what is the relevant personalization. Foremost is to put the data together for personalization. So you can personalize on the basis of name, you can personalize on the basis of card, you can personalize on the basis of the product that the customer needs, the offer that we have, and there is a market and a customer offer match that we need to have. So for that, the first and the foremost important thing is to put the data from multiple systems to come together, and what as we call it, wherein we have brought in more than 3,000 variables of each customer from various core systems of the bank together. So that's the data portion of it. The next portion is the ability to look and create segments and then use the same variable to give you an example of dining offer, and maybe in the times of COVID, dining may not be the right thing. Let me talk about an e-commerce offer. So you want to go ahead and talk to people about purchasing groceries on e-commerce, which people may not have done so far. Now, what you need to do is to be in a position to quickly figure out from your base of customers, who are the customers who do e-commerce transactions, but not doing grocery transactions. That's also one more form of e-commerce, but they're not doing it today. So it's easy for us if you have the data put together, the segment comes out in the next, because you have got the data aligned and put together first time. The next question is, what is the personalization that you want to do? Do you want to use social proofing, say like people like buying the city, for example, there are merchant partners who come and offer us in certain cities one because they may not be everywhere. So you might here is an offer for you inbound, and it is going to be done offline, or I see you go to then I know that you are at this level. So automatically using that information, I can personalize your communication. Say, for example, if you keep buying, or how do I use information? Create say there is a offer of the organic food that you buy. Somebody might be interested more in packaged foods. So how do I link it? So both these things are possible only if you're able to put the data together and then use the same data to also leverage what the platform offers and the ability to put it together for personalization.
Sure. All right. Thanks, Ravi. So, Himanshu, we heard a lot of personalization right now, what Ravi was saying, and you had also mentioned about it. But what we also understood is he's using up to 3,000 variables per customer, and therefore, data finally is the most critical thing. So, I want to bring you in and have your thoughts on how do you leverage data to adopt in this changing ecosystem. Considering that even a brand campaign nowadays has to have very strong ROI, and ROI campaigns anyways have to have more ROI than they did, maybe a couple of months ago. So what is your view on leveraging data within this entire environment?
Perfect. So we all know like banking as such and BFSI as a sector, it's a very mature industry, and there are very set verticals which are there, which are working on various forms of data across, be it marketing analytics or business analytics, or a sophisticated mechanism for outreach to our customers, right? And there has been a great, I mean, there has been a decent adoption of MarTech to kind of sew all these different channels together to have a unified view of the customer, right? So it analytics overall becomes extremely important because what we are dealing here with is data coming in from various sources, and then attributing various types of campaigns, various types of channels that we use in a proper manner, in a manner in which it is data driven per se, and give that attribution benefit to various campaigns. So at the core of it, analytics helps in channel optimization, where your monies should be spent, which channel you're leveraging the maximum for revenue or lead generation, and how you attribute the revenue to that particular channel. So in MarTech, analytics is extremely important, and in insurance industry, we are taking care of this by utilizing the third-party analytics tool per se, which would integrate data coming in from all the marketable channels, and then do a data-driven attribution to kind of get ROMI, which is return on your marketing investment per se.
Got it. Cedric, the more I hear Ravi, you and Himanshu, the more it's clear that it not just begins with data, but it finally all boils down to data, right? So at OCBC, how are you getting your data right with CDP? Could you throw some light on that?
So, two things which CDP does very well, right? One that is that it gives you a true personalized, a true identity of the customer across, and also in real time across all the different channels you may do. You may try to integrate together. Whether it is you're integrating data from your branch, from your CRM system, a person visiting your website, and all of that. So how we are leveraging the CDP is to make sure that we are able to put in a PII, means know who the person is, and then put it back into a real-time marketing message to the customer on whichever channel they are interacting with us. We've even taken it to the point where if a person comes into our website and we know who it is and they've looked at a certain thing, integrating it back into the, I won't say contact center because we have a good RM structure or a sales team structure who then is able to follow up and then leverage that into a sale or a subcontact or some engagement or even a problem solving based on their last interaction with us. So this is where we are able to leverage the CDP today at OCBC.
Got it. Ravi, so my next question is to you. See, we spoke about a host of things, and one of the key things is omni-channel support that y'all are using right now, which is powered by Resulticks. So, can you tell us a little bit more about how you guys are going about your omni-channel marketing, and what are the kind of ROI benefits that you have seen by having a partner who's kind of assisting you in this entire journey?
To think about what Himanshu said, once you have the data, you also understand the channel preference of customers.
Right.
Once you have the channel preference, our idea of omni-channel is all campaigns are omni-channel, and the customer's preference for a specific channel is the number one priority. If the customer prefers to interact with us through an RM, then we inform the RM to actually go and able to on a push messaging. We being bank, we have the obvious advantage. We are being a transaction kind of a partner with the customer. Customers keep coming back to our digital channels for transactions. So we also power the internal pull channel. So whenever they come in, we personalize the offer basis whatever we have as data from the customers interactions as well as also the transactions. So we do both the push and pull channels together. And the second thing is we also use the same, whether it is Google or Facebook, it is the same set of customers. So you actually segment the customers. So you have a prioritization clearly defined in terms of channel preference. The same segment is then used across multiple channels in the priority which the customer wants to interact. The dream is we have a delay of a day or so. What we do is if you have interacted and if you are not interacting or we start with our pull channels and our push channels. Push channel is we don't know when the customer will come into our transaction platform. Moment we see an increase that particular customer from all other channels so that he can save costs. So that is today a T+1 basis. My dream is to get it into real time so that we can save money also in terms of the ability head and but the necessary action has not happened. So both these contexts we see on the omni channel, and it's not only about communication, it's also about getting response increase.
Got it, great. So I've been hearing some pretty interesting terms. We've heard data, personalization, omni-channel, cross-sell. I'm going to quickly deep dive into maybe what I would call as the last part of this conversation in terms of analytics, and I'm going to kind of be requesting each of you to give me your views. Right. In this case, let's begin with Cedric. Right. Cedric, in your mind, how do you see analytics as being a tool to sharpen everything that you are doing before you begin, while you are at it, and even after you have begun something? So quickly tell me your views on that.
Okay, so to begin with, when we started our MarTech stack, the first thing we put in was a proper analytics tool. I think analytics is the foundation of everything you do in today's world, whether you call it in the MarTech space or even how you interact with customers. Without analytics, everything else becomes meaningless. Okay, so to come to your question, particularly on how we prepare before, during, and after, right? Before is a great point because you use analytics to determine what has happened in the past, what has worked, what has not worked, like how Ravi mentioned, and even Himanshu did. It's about making sure that we understand the customers, what works for them, what does not work, and use as the basis to formulate either hypothesis or use that to formulate either a theory to say this will be, or to launch a campaign and to say how do we get the campaign objectives to be satisfied. So that's the before part. During, it becomes a good way for us to get real-time feedback into what's, when I say real-time, it's not exactly real-time, but to get during campaign information on what's working, what's not working, and allows us to pivot if required, and also to optimize our monies better, to be able to put in more what's working, reduce more, or even if we're testing, to make sure that what we're testing in the AB or whatever it is, make sure that we are allocating better towards those areas. So that's during. After, of course, helps us to do a complete synopsis of what's worked, what's not worked, channels which have worked, custom audiences or segments which have done better, and then create either results, hypothesis of those, or maybe even things for us to work on after the campaign is done, right? Because the work doesn't end there. So that's how we use analytics. And seriously, when you talk about data, you cannot not mention analytics, right? It's literally one term. When you talk of the word data, it is effectively analytics, because you're understanding the data is what you're doing with it, because data by itself is meaningless.
Absolutely. Himanshu, I'd request you to step in and share your two bits on analytics. And if you can tell us how the insurance sector has been using it.
Sure. So, analytics obviously is the super important component when it comes to orchestrating the campaigns or collecting the data and analyzing it, right? I would put two major points where analytics helps us. One is channel optimization, and obviously, second point being attribution to those channels. So, if I put it this way, running the campaigns across channels is the action part of it. Analytics lends relevancy and the importance to those action pieces that we do. So analytics helps us understand what kind of channels are working for us in the insurance space, where should we be advertising, how to have a good balance between our marketing spends on say branding aspects and on performance aspects. So that's where analytics comes in, and it can only work if there is a robust attribution model created, wherein every buck that we spent on every channel that we spend on, we are able to attribute those budgets to the revenue that is flowing in, because at the end of the day it's about business, right? It's about ROI which you're getting, or your return on ad spends that you're getting. So attribution modeling and channel optimization are the two core pieces that we look in through the lens of analytics.
Absolutely. Ravi, why don't you also elaborate a little bit about the attribution piece and how you guys are using data and finally being able to attribute what did the customer see, how did he see, and finally what was the outcome, and any examples that you'd like to share?
Sure. And I was just thinking about when both gentlemen were speaking. Cedric beautifully articulated the first point of use of analytics is the customer product offer fit. And then during the campaign period, whether it's booking or not, post campaign is also about the attribution modeling of various channels, which is primarily from a digital marketing perspective. We at HDFC Bank do all these stuff, and just to build on to what they said, we are using analytics not to predict behavior. I think that's passing. What we are trying to use analytics is to shape the behavior of customers, because at the end of the day, we have enough data to know that Paurush had started like this and has moved on to become a good customer. Today, it's multiple sales opportunities that we have exploited with that customer, and with multiple other things which the customer is doing, which is profitable for the bank. Now, today I also have an Himanshu, and how do I shape the behavior of Himanshu to become like Paurush? And that's what analytics is being used for in HDFC Bank. And we also use it for all the things Cedric and Himanshu mentioned. And that, I think, is the holy grail from an analytics perspective of shaping the behavior of our customers, knowing fully well, what should be the next best action for this customer. And it need not be always a sale. It need not be always anything which is doing only for income generation side.
Right.
Coming to the attribution question that you asked, I think it's a very difficult question. Attribution modeling across the world has been going through many ups and downs, and multiple attribution models are at work, and each one of the models gives you a certain amount of information and insight, and you cannot go on one model. And we do use a cross section of at least 5 to 6 different ways of attribution. If you do any kind of one model exercise, in my experience, you will unnecessarily be faulting a lot of channels which would have helped in the conversion, but it is not there visible because it is not the final end point, or it is not the first point which actually had the customer convert. So attribution is a very different science altogether, and attribution is something which as an industry we will continue to keep pushing the levers. And today, for example, everybody is an individual silo, whether it is Facebook, whether it is Google, they're all individual silos. And I see more and more silos are getting created. Nobody's trying to come together to kill you. So for all you know, you might be targeting the same audience across all these platforms. So to get to an equal number, saying that I have only talked to Himanshu 5 times across all platforms, including my own channels, that itself is a holy grail. So attribution is a long time effort, which all of us have to come together to keep pushing the understanding of how each channel has contributed.
So, Ravi, quickly, if you could just tell me, what do you think is the role that AI is playing in the marketing stack for you?
See, again, AI is again a very, very broad subject, and
Right.
everybody starts using the word AI in every conversation which people are doing now. And there are certain things which machines can do, and we should allow the machines to do. There are certain things which humans do, and we should allow humans to complement what the machines can do. And there are multiple tools available in the artificial intelligence world today, which allows us to see the data and allow them to take the call, whether it is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, whichever way in which a specific industry works and what works for it. We all have been attempting to use machine learning, and machine learning is nothing but going to the past and seeing what has worked, and that being the use case for the next set of use cases that you generate. So that machine learning as artificial intelligence being used in the industry, that's at least 5 years old.
Right.
The cutting edge artificial intelligence that we people all talk about, which is all the unsupervised learning, whether which is the games which Google comes out with, which they play against a person within 3 hours they beat and all. And I think that is a very long way off. We are very clear in HDFC Bank. We want explainable AI, because what is important is when you have a channel which has got a physical RM, which has got a virtual RM, and which has got a lot more human touch and feel, the recommendations and the shaping of the behavior nudges that you would provide to your channel needs to be in an explainable position to the channel. You can't just go and tell your relationship manager, I know better, data tells me go and talk to Paurush like this. They will not
Right.
agree. They'll want to know why. So explainable AI is the concept that we are pushing for, so that we are in a position to explain to our own selves that this is the right action of the customer because of ABCD. So unexplainable AI is still a little bit way off for us in the bank.
Sure. Cedric, your views on AI in the marketing stack?
Actually, I quite like what Ravi said, because one of the things we also believe in is that we don't think that AI has reached a point where we can let it run by itself.
Right.
Okay. So I mean, when you talk about machine learning and stuff like that, right? So one of the things that we try to do is to look at which are the technologies that implement at some level, but we also employ data scientists in-house which look at those models and then see how it is working for us, and then use those models accordingly to be able to target a group of customers, whether it is sales, whether it's engagement, in different cases and across channels, right? So we are not in a space where we feel that AI has reached a stage of it's working really well, or we have not seen something, at least I have not seen something which tells me that it's working at scale today. So I don't think we're in a space where, I mean, it's getting there, and there is a lot of promise that we see, or a lot of, I won't say promise, but there's a lot of stories that are told which why it should work and why it should work this way and why it should make sense. But I am yet to see a proper case where it has been demonstrated that the machine is able to, like what Ravi said, right, understand a customer well enough to be able to make a recommendation to him only based on everything the machine's either learning or making some predictions. So given that scenario, we are still in a place where we're looking at things like next best conversation, but heavily involved where core customers are involved, using the RM, using the PFCs, the financial consultants, to be making those recommendations and adding that human element to the machine.
Sure. And Himanshu, your views from an insurance perspective on the same topic?
Yeah, so again, I agree with what Ravi said. It's more as of now, AI is more machine learning, and we interchangeably use the term. In the insurance space, per se, we are using this when it comes to say assessment of a breakdown vehicle. I can automatically using an app, the customer can automatically assess their breakdown and send it to us. And those claim requests received in huge volumes, we can have scripts and algorithms working on it to identify which are fraudulent ones and which are the real genuine claims that people are doing. So more so from a fraud prevention perspective, machine learning is what is being used, and also from the fact to understand the behavior of the customer when we are selling insurance to them. So there are segments that we can create which helps us identify users on various demographic and psychographic behaviors to let us know that this particular nature or the product can be sold to this particular person. But beyond that, wherein we are doing machine learning aspects and running scripts across, I think it's more about machine learning and not as much about AI as of now.
Sure. Great. So I think we are more or less kind of running out of time. So I have one last question, which I'm going to put to all you three gentlemen. Let's begin with Cedric. Cedric, what do you think is your secret sauce within the marketing automation space?
So one of the things we've always looked at within OCBC Bank is having the right people to run it. I mean, your
Yeah.
technology is one thing, but one of the biggest challenges I've faced for the last few years is who are the right people who are able to leverage of what are the technology and what are the stack we have. I think that's the biggest challenge. I don't think there's enough talent around. I don't think there's enough people who understand it to be able to leverage it, and that's our biggest challenge. So where we are trying to put all our energies into is to create both the first level and the second level of talent to be able to drive this entire agenda forward. Uh, that's our secret sauce. I mean, it's all about the people, right? In the end, you can have as
Right.
much technology as you want.
Right. Himanshu, what's your secret sauce?
I would say there's no secret ingredient, like it was said in Kung Fu Panda. But if I were to point it out to one thing, it's about breaking the silos that we operate in. Given the maturity of the industries and the way our regulation aspects work, I think
Yeah.
we've learned to work in silos very well.
Mm.
But when it comes to marketing automation or MarTech space, what we are looking at is it as a single unified project, right from data collection to unification of that data from various channels, then segmenting it in the right cohorts, and then orchestrating those campaigns for it to all happen in a single piece. What would be needed is more process centric rigor and a de-siloed approach, if I may put it that way. So yeah, one secret ingredient which could work, which will definitely work, is if we look to break down those existing silos.
Ravi, I'm going to come to you. You have been kind of smiling from the time we started talking of the secret sauce or whatever. So quickly, your parting comments on that.
And, I'm just reflecting on what Cedric and Himanshu said. Anything in marketing is linking the actual campaigns to the revenue. That's the only secret sauce across everything. So you actually showcase this campaign resulted into this direct revenues. Rest of when we come to you, your processes, your silos will be broken because there is a linkage to revenue. Because we are all in a commercial organization, we need to be in a position to show marketing is the new sales.
Right.
Then automatically everything will happen.
No, absolutely, Ravi. Thank you so much. I think we are ending on a very very high note. So very very quickly, I want to thank on behalf of Resulticks and on behalf of BFSI Digital Stallions Forum, Ravi, Cedric, Himanshu. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules, sharing insights. I'm sure that all those who are hearing us are going to walk away with a pretty rich collection of thoughts and ideas, which they're going to go back and implement at their side. So we're going to add tremendous value. And thank you so much once again. Thank you, Resulticks, for making this happen. And we look forward to coming back to you guys with many more such interesting sessions. Have a lovely day. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Paurush.
Thanks, Parush.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Himanshu.
Thank you.